Szanowni Państwo, na początku bardzo chciałabym podziękować za możliwość podzielenia się z Państwem moją fascynacją w zakresie inżynierii materiałowej oraz imersyjnej architektury. Można powiedzieć, że historia nauki i techniki stoi tak naprawdę na dwóch końcach rzeczywistości, jeśli chodzi o wielkie odkrycia badawcze. Z jednej strony mamy wielkie wizje, które tak naprawdę nigdy nie przetrwały próby czasu, natomiast po drugiej stronie mamy zupełnie niedocenione idee, które okazały się tak naprawdę wielkim przełomem w nauce. Zaczynając od tej pierwszej części rzeczywistości, wydawałoby się mogło, że telepatia nigdy w życiu nie będzie tak naprawdę analizowana badawczo, natomiast dzięki ujawnionym badaniom CIA okazało się, że w latach 50. prowadzono badania związane z wykorzystaniem telepatii i kontroli umysłu za pomocą substancji psychoaktywnych już w latach 50. XX wieku. Eksperyment zakończono tak naprawdę w latach 70., czyli po 20 latach kontynuowania tych badań. Tak samo ówczesny Stanford Research Institute prowadził badania nad zdalnym widzeniem i zjawiskami parapsychicznymi, które były zbliżone do telepatii i tak naprawdę badania te były finansowane w ramach jednego z najbardziej znanych programów związanych z telepatią, czyli projektem Stargate. Projekt ten był prowadzony przez CIA i Departament Obrony w latach 70. I tak naprawdę te badania zostały zakończone dopiero w 1995 roku, a raporty z tych badań wykazały, że ich wartość praktyczna tak naprawdę była zupełnie znikoma. Natomiast po tej drugiej stronie rzeczywistości stoi idea, która tak naprawdę bardzo mocno wpływa na to, że obecnie używamy naszych telefonów komórkowych, czyli po prostu algebra Boolean. Zresztą historia matematyki Boole'a jest bardzo ściśle związana z rozwojem logiki matematycznej, teorii obliczeń. Została stworzona już w połowie XIX wieku, zresztą jako matematyczna struktura, która umożliwiła precyzyjne modelowanie logiki.
Structure that allowed us for precise modeling of mathematics. Initially, it was a curiosity, but in the long run, it has a strong impact on engineering. There was a publication in 1854, an investigation of the laws of thought by George Boole. Initially, it was just a theoretical curiosity, describing values in terms of false and truth and or not alternatives currently used in computer circuits. When it comes to material engineering, we can also place ourselves at the two opposite sides and show a lot of examples to substantiate our view. The first example that shows a huge downfall of technology is asbestos, that has already been mentioned a moment ago. Initially, asbestos was believed to be a miraculous material because of its fireproof properties, which made it a very useful material in construction for the purposes of roofing insulation, and in the 1960s also for hospital construction. In the 1920s and 30s, it was one of the pillars of construction, and we still call it Alternate because of the name of one of the businesses in Europe that produced asbestos. But already in the 1930s, it was observed that exposure to asbestos caused some diseases, and in the 1960s we identified a type of cancer that was caused by inhaling asbestos fibers. On the other hand, of this approach, we have a lot of architectural solutions. And here, let me refer to Leon Battista Alberti, who spoke of Gothic as barbaric and pagan solutions, whereas this current really influenced deeply approach to structures and support. A similar story concerns modular and prefabricated elements. Initially, especially in the post-war period, they were associated with temporary, cheap solutions such as cheap residential complexes or low quality and solutions that are not durable. However, today, architecture needs to be open to experimentation. Material engineering is developing very fast. We are looking for light solutions that would be energy efficient and durable. So there are many different directions that are quite productive today. The first one is design for deconstruction, so the use of materials that can be reused in the future. Then we have reversible modular design, which involves building a structure, deconstructing it, and moving it to a new location. This is in turn related to urban mining, which serves as a counterpoint for expansive urban planning and involves the use of all materials and waste already found in our cities, including construction waste. So everything should be based in turn on evidence-based design. So it might seem that concrete can no longer be considered an experimental material, but in material engineering, there is still a lot to be done when it comes to the reuse of concrete in new structures. I myself have a possibility to work on developing new construction panels for object, which is a recreational facility that is being designed by our team that is headed by Waldemar Baber. We divided our work into several parts. First of all, we want to develop self-supporting sandwich panels using concrete reinforced with glass fiber. Then we carried out strength and technological tests of specific panels, and we developed some functional and spatial arrangements for these structures. It might seem that portable elements and the use of dome structures do not go hand in hand. But this is actually the best solution for the purposes of energy efficiency. On the other hand, it is very demanding from the technological perspective because of the number of connection points. So we were able to develop all of these critical touch points of all insulation elements. We also produced prototypes, and what we wanted to achieve is to make the best use of smooth elements that would have the best hydrophobic properties while being porous while in contact with concrete. We also analyzed the life cycle of the project using calculations included in environmental product declaration. Subsequently, we analyzed all functional and spatial solutions, including the possibilities of connecting specific elements. These solutions make part of this reversible modular design movement that is currently also being adopted in Denmark. Denmark has a very ambitious goal when it comes to minimizing and reducing carbon footprint on the basis of a 50 years life cycle. The point is to minimize the carbon footprint to 12 kilograms per square meters. So there is one experiment experimental residential complex that was created in Denmark and was supposed to be an experimental facility. It was implemented in a district that used to be a railway district and should take into account this historical heritage of the area. It was a very simple linear plot that turned out to be perfect for the erection of this kind of modular structures, and the architects developed all kinds of projects from very simple village-like structures to very dense construction, focusing on the indoor space and on the outdoor space. None of that would make sense had it not been for the human-centered design. It is the beneficiary of the architecture, the user, who is the final and most important element of this design process. Now we are witnessing a legislative tsunami, so the final users see legislation change from day to day. We have the sustainable economy, a lot of EU initiatives for climate, the Green New Deal, or the new European Bauhaus, so a lot of fantastic initiatives that have been implemented over a short period of time. So the final user may even experience their place in this system as a puppet. But what we want to give them is a chance to participate in this architecture and become its active participant. And hence the use of extended augmented reality in design. In architecture, perception that is based on the haptic and visual models, in fact, introduces architecture into the field of neuroscience by using virtual reality. And we have already said today that virtual reality means entering a space outside of our perception, creating this imaginary visions of imaginary towns, manipulating our perception. So we can use our own mobile devices and see all of the possible variants of solutions that are available in a specific environment. Aaron Betsky, who was the curator of the 11th Venice Architecture Biennale entitled "We Need Architecture Beyond Buildings," said that we indeed need architecture that goes beyond buildings because buildings are insufficient. They are large, uneconomical collections of natural resources that are difficult to adapt to constantly changing living conditions. And this is how we can create cities 2.0 through immersive activities, pro-social activities, circular economy, reversible architecture. By placing QR codes, we can create alternative visions of urban reality across crucial points of our towns. So we can imagine that next to the Museum of Modern Art Architecture, we can see all possible variants of solutions that were suggested. So that, I believe, would augment our discussion and change its quality. Previously, we have seen also immersive activities in art. You Be My Ally is one of the examples of such an activity. It was an exhibition by Jenny Holzer at the University of Chicago, where the artist simply included quotes by thinkers such as Plato, Virginia Woolf,
bardzo różnych miejscach i w
fragments
newralgicznych
of
punktach
the
w mieście.
writings could be
Chyba najbardziej znana wystawa Story of the Forest w
experienced in
Singapurze,
many
która była
different places
inspirowana
across
dziełami
the city.
Farquhara.
And then we
Farquhar
had
działał
another interesting project from an artist from the 19th century, The Story of the Forest by William Farquhar, who was rediscovered recently, and his drawings were now used in an immersive 3D exhibition. So, in the case of reversible architecture, we can visualize and test different solutions, assess the durability of different materials. We can use VR to present some simulations and also test such aspects as the user ergonomics. If we combine VR and AI, we can create alternative visions of our towns. But there is a dark side to these solutions. It can be compared to fake news, light pollution, noise pollution. So we can also talk about image pollution, because we can generate a lot of images over a short period of time, and these images rely on the artistic expression of the artist himself or herself, so we can be inundated by low quality images. So what will the future be like? What will the future be for augmented reality and generative algorithms? Probably right now we are observing the future. So it's either going to be a huge technological leap that will turn out to be a great milestone in user perception and design, or it will be a great collapse, and in a few years we will just look at it as a simple curiosity. And in fact, architecture itself and technology would be nothing in themselves, on their own, without this movement towards perception and focus on genius logic that can be compared to komorebi, a phenomena referred to in this way in Japan, which is a moment when the light penetrates through the trees, so this unique moment of very strong impact on our perception. So graphic design is also something that comes up in another exhibition from Bilbao. And this is something that I would like to draw your attention to, thanking you for listening to my presentation.